back into open meeting. We'd like to invite you all to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. We open this evening's meeting with public hearing number PB 2024-32, CEZ&V LLC, Ellery Althouse Manager Bagel Hound, seeks special permits for the restaurant, fast food takeout, and site plan review special permits with request for waivers. The proposed project is to renovate existing building into a fast food takeout restaurant. Applications pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Sections 325-14-0, 325-51, and 325-55, and Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 9. Property is located at 297 Route 28, Assessors Map 12, Parcel S6, which is a split parcel. Parcel is in the Commercial Highway 1 CH1 and Residential High Density RH1 zoning districts, as well as in the FEMA Flood Zone AE BFE 11, NAV 88. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm Ellery Althouse. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, and thank you for your service. I'm a member of the Truro Planning Board, so I very much know a little bit of what you guys have to do and how much effort and work it is, so thank you. The plan before you is to save what I'm going to call an iconic landmark here in Harwich, although perhaps depending on if you drive by it currently, it may not feel that way. It's always more complicated than you initially thought. Well, actually, first let me just say a little bit about the business that we intend to move in there, which is myself and my partner's business, Bagel Hound, which is a handcrafted bagel shop located currently in Wellfleet with a satellite location in Provincetown. We would be keeping those and moving an additional location here in Harwich. We pride ourselves not only in our bagels and schmear, but also being part of the community and hopefully contributing positively to that community. And we intend to continue to do that here in Harwich. We're excited to move in and establish ourselves, both in terms of selling bagels, but also giving back. So in order to achieve our goals and to save this building, we have had to alter our kind of idealistic plans and shrink the dining room, and which is perhaps the most iconic part of this space, and expand the kitchen in order to achieve a smaller occupancy. And in addition to that, for us, there is an old food storage section that is becoming a production kitchen, which will be exclusively for making our bagels. Our goal long-term is to get this building open and keep it open year-round. We think that it's a feasible plan, given how close to year-round we are in Wellfleet. We think that by having the two, we should actually be able to keep both locations open year-round. Provincetown, there's no hope for that. We are asking for 2 waivers, one for the landscaping plan. Currently, just do not have any intention of altering anything other than perhaps pruning and trimming, which that space obviously, again, needs. And the second waiver we are looking for is a waiver from the Stormwater Management and Drainage Plan. And, you know, I've reviewed the memo, and I know that the staff has concerns about that. And I totally understand that. The biggest reason for us is our concern about our ability to get open for spring. And if the board is not willing to waive that, I would certainly be hoping that maybe we could find a way with conditions of return or something that we could get an approval as soon as possible to allow the building department to release a permit, but we would come back either before occupancy with a stormwater plan or before we, again, we'll be back at some point to renovate that residence, and try and find a way that we could maybe get approval conditionally so that the building department could release it, but then we would come back, because certainly I'm not here to argue that stormwater isn't an issue, especially after that storm that everyone endured this summer, which bizarrely, I was at a farmer's market in Truro, and we did not receive a single drop of rain. And it was, so I'm hoping you guys will find the ability to work with me on that. And I open it up to you guys.
Very good, thanks. Christine?
Great. Matt, we have PowerPoint.
You know, right, yeah. Which one do you want?
The bagel one. And we have the clicker.
From the table.
Oh, is this?
Thank you. All right,
I
just to
think
give
this is the wrong
everyone
deck. I might be wrong.
quick overview, this is the town of Harwich. Here's the next slide. The property, you can see, is in red, so it's between Harwich Port and going into West Harwich, Dennis. And this is the site at the bottom. So you can see several of the other surrounding businesses, like Jack Bakeries, Scribano's, Milano's Restaurant. So there are several different restaurants just within a half-mile radius of this location, as well as other commercial businesses. And so this is the site, so you'll notice, I'm sorry.
May I ask you a question?
Yep.
It's listed as being in Harwichport, but my understanding, the dividing line between West Harwich and Harwichport is Brooks Road.
Yes,
And
and this
so-
is right in the middle of that. So the Brooks Road is right there, and Route 28 is right.
Right, so,
in front.
but to the west of Brooks Road would be West Harwich, right?
Yes. Did I say east?
No, you said west, but this is
Right in
listed
the
as
middle.
Harwichport on some of the documentation here.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure, I mean, you guys have it in.
No, and it,
It is on Google Maps,
pardon me,
too.
it has very much been a question from day
Okay,
one.
okay.
And when I came in, someone told me, and I don't remember who, and I'm not,
I mean, let's get your zip code.
yeah, no,
That's all, I
We
mean,
have plenty of zip codes.
yes, yeah,
we can, yeah, all right. It's all right, I just wanted,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not crazy.
No, I appreciate
Yeah, no, I
that.
appreciate that as well, being new here. So you can notice the existing site, there are 36 parking spots. The building will have 32 seats. We'll also have a production kitchen as well for retail sale. But you'll notice also just a lot of they're not planning to do any increase of the footprint towards the building. They're not doing anything with the residential building to the left on the slide, and they're not doing anything with the garage that's behind the residential unit. This is, for tonight's purpose, it's really to look at just the commercial business. And so if you'll notice the two access points, it is a tight turn off of Route 28, but there is a second egress on Brooks Road. So,
Is that going to be the main entrance on Brooks Road then?
I don't know that I can particularly delineate, but it's certainly the one that I would like. I know when we've had different development meetings, the fire department specifically was asked, and they said that it's much better now than it once was because of, I think perhaps it was telephone pole rearranging or something, that they feel more comfortable now with that exit than they have in the past. That said, it's certainly still a concern, and I'm, once we get going, if we can find ways to make it safer, I'm always on board for that.
it is a tight spot, and when I spoke with at one of our meetings, it was also mentioned that commercial trucks, in order for them to turn in, it was easier to go in off of Route 28 than going down Brooks Road and turning into the lot as well. So you can see this is the site plan. There are 36 parking spots. The dumpster is at the bottom of to the bottom right of the building, and again, the residential in the garage, also on the site plan. So we also have, this is what they're proposing for the facade changes. Again, they're not changing the footprint of the building. And so this is the floor plan, and Ellery, if you want to also highlight just where the kitchen and the seating is as well.
Do you want me to physically just,
Yeah.
certainly. So, as it stands currently in the existing building, this area here is all just food storage. And this is the existing kitchen that anyone who has been to the A&W would recognize. Our plan is to expand slightly that existing kitchen. We are hoping to retain, separately and unrelated, hoping to retain the checkout counter and the really nice booths and lighting that we really fell in love with. And then over here in this area is where we intend to create a walk-in cooler and have our baking area, which would be where we make all of our bagels.
So if I can continue, the project tonight is for a fast food takeout restaurant, a special permit, which also requires a site plan review. And so again, the applicant proposes 32 seats, and the operations will have a maximum of 12 employees at a time. And the kitchen operation will be from 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. The hours of operation for the bagel shop on the retail will be 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. That will be Monday through 7 days a week, year-round. And the property is the former A&W, which was built in the 1950s. They missed the grandfathering by just about shy of a year, so so moving forward, the applicant has requested 2 waivers for landscaping and drainage. Given the location, I have recommended that a drainage, stormwater management and drainage plan be required for this project. However, I also understand the predicament that the applicant is in relative to wanting to open up their business. So if it's something that the board wants to entertain, I would also be willing to encourage that, to have it conditioned prior to the certificate of occupancy. I think that's a reasonable, something we can work out with the building department.
That's fantastic. If I can get that, I already have my engineer on task for this. Since I read that today, I was like, let's just.
And what does spring mean, or?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
I mean, my goal is.
Feel free to bring samples to any
Yeah.
of these. To have a good bagel in Harwich would be spectacular.
We are going to move as fast as is humanly possible. I went to high school and grew up with my contractor, and I am pushing aggressively for him to push as aggressively as possible. And if we can get open, the day that we have that production kitchen ready and approved, we will start making bagels and we will open the doors. That said, it's construction, and there's always hang-ups.
Just to be clear, your production kitchen, you're going to sell also at retail?
Yes, yeah. It's just, I refer to it as the production kitchen because it's separate than the other, but that one in particular has to be up and running
Got it.
for us to sell bagels. We'd have to have them. But yeah, as soon as possible.
Any other questions for the applicant or for Christine? I want to give my appreciations to the dark sky compliant outer lightings, which I think will be an improvement. And I'm assuming that these are going to be the exterior fixtures that will go along the, not an awning, but more kind of like a canopy that's.
They're actually, the plan is for those to be for the sign.
Sign,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
All right, so, in this.
The
that's our
canopy
purview.
itself has, and I'm going to botch it, but they have like canister lights that actually only do shine down and are well contained, if we can find a new model of those.
Please.
They did meet our parking requirements, which was 26, they had 36, so they're in excess of that. They have addressed handicap access, and the internal structure of the building will also be ADA compliant, which is a vast improvement over the before. Traffic, given the location, I did not recommend a traffic study, given that this was given the prior use and the history of the site. And the septic system is Board of Health compliant, and so the building and access and egress will not change. And there's one other issue, lighting. They have addressed the lighting in the dark sky compliant to Harwich Code, and signage they will need. Any permits relative to signage, they are aware of that.
Yeah.
And
We're ready and
Sorry, I didn't
prepared.
mean to derail the presentation. This is great, and mid-century modern. In Harwich,
Exactly.
gotta love it, you know? It's like covering all the bases. So any other questions, Mary?
You said you're comfortable, Christine, with conditioning so make it a condition that prior to the certificate of occupancy being issued, an approved stormwater drainage management plan is in place. That's a tough section of 28 when it rains. So, you know, I'm in wholehearted agreement with you that I don't think that's something that we should waive.
Yes,
Right.
and I did talk with the conservation agent. She did also submit comments, and if there is any impact or change to the parking lot, that does trigger conservation review. But given the situation, if you're adding more drainage, that they would consider, that would be looked upon favorably by the conservation commission to help mitigate stormwater management. So yes, I am comfortable placing that as a condition.
And I would also suspect that we would have heard of that if that were an issue to the south of Butter, which is an old Greek Revival farmhouse, that we would have heard about this years ago. So, but there is a pretty precipitous drop from the 28 plane down to the plane of the parking lot. So, I mean, we'll, you know, as long as we're gonna go with this, this is,
I'll be honest, that's an area I avoid. I avoid that corner on a heavy rain, and I try and avoid.
you don't like the going on two wheels around that?
Well, no, because it's just as bad on the Lower County side.
Right.
So, I will say in 2017, in front of the Allen Harbor, I lost a car engine because of a flood. So on a bad rain. So I do avoid that corner of 28 on a bad rainstorm. So, you know, I think anything is gonna help.
Hopefully it wasn't an
That's
electric car.
The engine was replaced.
Okay.
So is the condition to have a plan in place not done, right? Is that the condition we're
And
talking
submitted.
about?
So prior to the
Submitted
issuance.
and
submitted.
evaluated by the town's consulting engineer, is what I would recommend.
So we're not,
The
As opposed to approval before, so I was gonna
Right.
condition it to an approved stormwater drainage management plan prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit.
Yes,
Is that okay?
yes, that's okay.
Is that
Is that
okay with you?
what you need?
That's fine by me. Like I say, I'm going to move on this, you know, very quickly just to get it done and out of the way, and hopefully it won't be too much of a time commitment. We'll see. But I try to move fast. Not that this project has shown that.
I've fallen behind here. Are we requiring
A plan or?
work, construction to be done for drainage?
No.
No, we're requiring
having-
a stormwater management stormwater management and drainage plan to be submitted as part of this. And
Submitted, not done.
Not executed.
Right, okay. Submitted.
Okay, so I had approved.
You had approved. I'm
So
hearing
you're okay
submitted.
with just submitted?
I
Because I was
would
gonna
prefer
say-
approved. I'd like to have, when I say approved, I would think, I think it might be better to have the town's consulting engineer evaluate it, and so long as it meets their standards and they're okay with it.
Is the Board of
They're-
Selectmen is still the
Final.
approval authority on it, correct?
They're not triggering a stormwater permit.
Oh, okay.
This is
Okay.
just the stormwater
This is plan.
Plan.
management plan.
Be approved by our engineers.
Correct.
That works.
Approved, but it doesn't have to be completed, correct?
Well, it's a plan, it's just,
It's just a plan.
It's the plan, and it's, I think when the applicant is ready to implement the drainage,
Then-
they will be able to do that, but as part of this permitting process, they will have at least adhere to the stormwater management, submitting a plan, and that is approved by consulting engineer.
Approved.
Alan, anything?
No, I'm good.
Any further comments?
I guess I had one other question.
Okay.
What time do you typically take deliveries in? Are deliveries gonna come in, I know Christine had mentioned 7 to 4. Are deliveries gonna come in that same time frame, just because there are some properties there?
I mean, they will, let's see. The other day I was there and I saw the US Foods truck arrive for Jake Rooney's, and it was around, I think, mid-morning. There's not a ton I can do in terms of deliveries. Generally, I try and get mine, in Wellfleet, we close at 1 o'clock, so we try and get our deliveries between 8 o'clock and 1. That's probably the window, but those larger companies, it kind of just depends on how they unload their trucks.
Would you ever be expecting them before 7 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, no.
That's more what
yeah.
I'm concerned with.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because of the noise.
The only one that occasionally you might see is like the produce people, but it's usually small, and they deliver between 4 and 8 in the morning across Cape Cod, and they're pretty respectful generally.
Very good. So if there are no further discussions, I'd like to entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Nobody from the public?
Oh, sorry, is there anybody from, I'm sorry, anybody from the public wish to comment? No, okay. I think so.
Then move we vote to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So I would move at this time that the planning board adopt the following findings of fact. 1, that the applicant is the owner, Ellery Alpheus. 2, subject property is 297 Route 28. 3, the property is located in the commercial highway -1, also known as CH1, and residential high density RH1 zoning districts, as well as the FEMA flood zone AEBFE 11 and AE88. 4, the applicant seeks a fast food takeout restaurant and site plan review special permits with 2 waiver requests for stormwater management and drainage and landscaping plan. 5, the proposed project is to completely renovate an existing commercial building to meet current building and health code compliance, including ADA accessibility. The building shall operate as a fast food takeout restaurant and kitchen production area. There will be minor exterior lighting improvements to existing conditions. 6, there is a proposed fenced dumpster, which is marked on the site plan. 7, the site contains 36 parking spots, including 2 handicap parking spots. 8, the previous use was a fast food takeout restaurant establishment since the 1950s. The site is surrounded by other fast food restaurant establishments, commercial businesses, and residential homes. 9, the application for a fast food takeout restaurant and site plan review special permit was filed on November 19, 2024. And 10, the planning board will hold a public hearing on December 17, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
So at this time, I would recommend that the board votes to grant one waiver request for, the applicant does not need to submit a landscaping plan as a part of the application.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved unanimously.
Then I would finally move that the board grant, with conditions, the proposed fast food takeout restaurant and special use permit and site plan review special permit, subject to the following conditions. One, the proposed fast food takeout restaurant special use permit will not adversely affect traffic and safety. The proposed use is compatible with the surrounding land uses, such as other fast food and restaurant establishments and commercial businesses along Route 28. The site is within the Commercial Highway -1 zoning district. The proposed project with the landscaping waiver is in accordance with the site plan referenced in the application materials listed above. 3, the proposed project is to completely renovate an existing commercial building to meet current building and health code compliance, including ADA accessibility. The building shall operate as a fast food takeout restaurant and kitchen furniture area. 4, the proposed project shall provide 36 parking spots, including 2 handicap parking spots as shown on the site plan. 5, the proposed dumpsters shall be screened by a fence as shown on the site plan. 6, any new signage shall comply with the code of the town of Harwich. 7, all new exterior lighting shall be dark sky compliant. Any future replacement of exterior or parking lot lighting shall be dark sky compliant as well. 8, this decision shall run with the property. Conditions of approval shall be binding on future owners. 9, the special permit shall not take effect until a copy of the decision bearing the certification of the town clerk that 20 days have elapsed after the filing of the decision, either that no appeal has been filed or that an appeal has been filed within such time period, is recorded in the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds and indexed under the name of the property owner of record and the parcel address. 10, the special permit shall lapse within 2 years, which shall not include such time required to pursue or waive the determination of an appeal referred to in General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 17, and the grant thereof, if substantial use thereof has not sooner commenced except for good cause, or in the case of a permit for construction, if construction has not begun by such date except for good cause. 11, changes to the site include the residential building not authorized under this decision will require further planning board review and modification to this decision. 12, the applicant shall conform to the inspection and certification of any building requirements outlined pursuant to the code of the town of Harwich. And 13, an approved stormwater management drainage plan, let me rephrase that. A stormwater management drainage plan shall be approved, and a condition, shall be approved by the town's engineers and shall be a condition prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the property.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
your time.
bringing your business to our town.
Yes, my
One
pleasure.
less abandoned business on Route 28 helps everybody.
So,
Appreciate that. I'm excited to be in there. Thank you.
Look forward to having
We'll
you.
see you this spring.
Yep.
So this evening, we move on to public meeting number PB 2024-33, A&R, owner Raymond Thatcher Jr., authorized Harwich Conservation Trust through their agent Michael Latch, seeks endorsement of a 2-lot A&R plan entitled Plan of Land in Harwich, Mass., prepared by Harwich Conservation Trust, scale 1 inch to 100 feet, dated September 16, 2024, prepared by John Z. Demarest, Junior, PLS license number 36859, Demarest Land Surveying pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 81B, and Section 400-9 of the Code of the Town of Harwich, for property located at 379 Main Street, map 38, parcel G3-2 in the Rural Estate Residential Zoning District. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Shall I proceed, Christine, or what would you like to do?
No, Mike, please present your plans to the board, and then I can give a brief overview of my findings.
Thank you. Thank you. Michael Luck, Executive Director of the nonprofit Harwich Conservation Trust, and we have Tom Evans, President of the Board of Trustees here as well. Thank you for the time reviewing this request for your endorsement of a two-lot approval not required plan for property 379 Main Street owned by Raymond Thatcher Jr., who's authorized me to serve as his agent here this evening.
Okay, and before you is an approval not required plan, and obviously the board can vote to endorse or deny an A&R or take no action. I did review the plan, and the proposed A&R meets the minimum criteria for endorsement of an A&R plan pursuant to Mass General Law 4181P and Section 400-9 of the Code of Harwich, particularly given adequate frontage of 150 feet on Great Western Road. Each of the lots does have front, is accessible front on a public road. And with that, I would recommend an endorsement of the A&R plan as presented on the site plan.
So could I just have a quick verbal description of what the merging, of which lots are going where?
Yes. So the Lot 1, the
Right.
westerlymost lot, is going to be retained by Raymond Thatcher Jr., and Lot 2 is subject to a purchase and sale agreement between Raymond Thatcher Jr. and Harwich Conservation Trust for sale to Harwich Conservation Trust.
Okay. I didn't see lot 2. I was like scrambling around. Okay. Any other questions? We'll move forward.
What's happening to the rest of the property, just kind of for the public record?
Sure. So Harwich Conservation Trust, just as background, nonprofit founded in 1988 by volunteers from all walks of life coming together with a common mission of preserving land to protect water quality, wildlife habitat, walking trails, scenic views, all of those environmental elements that people know and enjoy, holds us here, draws so many more. And so the intention is to conserve the property. It will be leased back to Ray Thatcher for cranberry farming for the next 2 years, while we study ecological restoration design options with the eventual intention of actively ecologically restoring the retired bog to healthy wetland habitat and stream habitat, similar to what we've completed at the Colebrook site on Bank Street. And we're about to undertake at the Hinckley's Pond Herring River Headwater site opposite the Cape Tech Regional Vocational High School. That's the plan, and we'll open up trails eventually along the way.
Great. Any further comments, questions?
No.
We do not have to close the meeting, so entertain a motion. What's the will of the board? Endorse?
I move that we endorse the A&R plan as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Now we move on to,
Christine, do you have a plan for us to sign tonight?
Yes, I have several documents for you
Yeah.
guys to sign tonight, so we'll do that at the end, if that's okay.
We could-
so we also move on to the next item, which is PB 2024-21, which is 1594 and 1598 Orleans Road, definitive subdivision covenant agreement. I see Susan Ledoux has joined us. Good evening, Susan.
Yep, hello.
So,
Yep.
unfortunately, I was still going back and forth with town council, so I have not sent this draft agreement to the applicant. I do have a hard copy if Bill would like to take a look at it. Susan, I apologize. I am making a I will ask the board if you could vote on the subdivision agreement on the condition that town town council and the applicant and the owners continue to work out some of the minor details. And once the agreement is finalized, I will ask board members to come in and sign at your convenience instead of deferring to the next meeting, which is in January 12th. But if you could take a couple of moments to read it, the first 2 pages, it's largely the project. The intent of the agreement is to protect the town and to ensure that whoever owns the property, that they have to do the road maintenance, they have to create the road, do the road maintenance, and all of the drainage and municipal services. And this is just really an opportunity to protect the town. The owners cannot pull a building permit or convey or sell any of the lots until this work has been done. And construction work, talking with the eastward companies, they anticipate a construction completion by this time next year, in December 2025. The reason why this isn't finalized tonight is because Eastward is looking to purchase both lots, and this became a little bit more complicated because there were 2 separate owners, and it's the owners that we have to highlight. They have to authorize this, they have to sign the agreement as well. And if there are any mortgages, which there are, the bank also has to sign that, so the applicant will correct those signatures.
And there's absolutely no reason, no way that we can wait on approval until the language is finalized.
You can. I was giving it an option just to work with the applicant. I understand that they were also, the applicant is eager to move forward with this. But if it's an issue, you know, I don't have a preference. I'm just trying to appease this, to move projects forward. So, but if the board's not comfortable, that's fine too.
Do you need it before you close? Is that?
I can't hear you, Mary.
Do you need it before you close? Is that what the problem is on the covenants?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's Christine's gig, frankly.
Yes.
We just haven't run into this. We were surprised and flat-footed by it because we never had this come up before. But we're certainly here to comply with whatever your wishes are.
I'll let others speak first.
Your concern, or your immediate reaction was?
I'm always concerned when you're approving something that's not in final language yet,
Right.
because.
Or even if all parties haven't even come together on one.
Right, well,
one
because,
point.
you never know what's gonna come up, and it's probably nothing. It'll probably be fine by our next meeting.
Right.
Which is, which would always be my hope, and I'm sorry he's here tonight and we're not ready to go, but
I thought our meeting was the 7th. It's the 12th?
Because the joint meeting is on the 7th.
Oh, okay, that's
And
right.
our regular
The
planning.
regular
board
meeting's the 12th. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Mary, if it alleviates, I've been going back extensively with town council. She felt that this draft, as an option, she suggested that for the board's consideration. So town council was comfortable with it. That's the only reason why I'm bringing it.
All right.
I handed it out tonight in the condition. Some of the minor changes have to do with the limited liability, the LLCs, and just having the correct information from the Barnstable Registry of Deeds and the correct references. That was the hang-up, so we're looking just to update that information.
So I guess I'd be okay with a motion to approve the subdivision covenant if it's in substantially the same form as provided here tonight. Then I think we're worrying about what substantial means, but.
Or subject to town council and
Subject to town
the
council's-
applicant and owners finalizing the agreement.
That works for me.
And to finalize it, is it just between now and the next meeting?
Yes. But the applicant is looking to close, so that's why instead of deferring to the next meeting, I think we can wrap this up in a few days, and I can then call the planning board members and ask you to come in and sign the agreement at your convenience. But it's at your discretion. I'm not pushing either way.
I'm okay with that, I mean,
So
Carrie?
I guess I'd make a motion to approve the subdivision covenant for Duarte Drive.
DB 2024-21.
So I would move to approve the subdivision covenant for definitive subdivision for 1594-1598 Orleans Road in Harwich, Mass. In substantially the same form as is presented to us this evening, subject to town council's review and approval and the owners and applicants' review and approval.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Does failure to leave here tonight with an approval in any way slow down or impede progress on this project?
Yes.
It has to be signed. And town council didn't feel comfortable to sign off on it until we had additional information that needs to be added to the agreement. And it's some minor edits, it's just information, so that's what we were working on. I'm sorry, Susan wanted to say something.
Yep, yeah, hi. Susan Ledoux, Eastward Companies. I believe we need the plan signed or endorse the Mylar, the agreement and covenant. Those two items need to be recorded along with the planning board decision. And once we get the copies of those recorded items back to you, we can start road construction efforts.
So I would, do we want to put a rider on that this comes for, as a matter of, housekeeping, that we track this at the next meeting with the status?
I'll provide an update
Okay, perfect. That's all I want.
as to the status and the filing of this. And I will work with Susan Ledoux to resolve this.
Any further comments? Any comments from the public? Any vote pending? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much, Duncan.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. We have, I think
Thanks.
we're on deck for the next item here.
How about that?
Says good planning.
Yeah.
No, Duncan, before you jump into
Yeah.
that, I want to echo the words of the earlier speaker that says to all you folks, thank you very much for taking care of the planning in Harwich. I know it's an unpaid position and it's volunteer, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate it, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that takes us to the Duarte Drive.
Duarte
Susan
Drive,
has it all
yep.
figured out.
Do you have the packets that were dropped off?
Yes.
For that. So I'm just going to quickly go through the narrative, but this was a 3-lot grid subdivision that was approved by the planning board in 1995. And if you take a look at the packet, the subdivision that was approved had a 50-foot wide subdivision road right-of-way width. The subdivision road was approximately 475 feet long. The travelway or the pavement was 22 feet wide with 1.5-foot berms on each side. There were three building lots that still meet today's zoning requirements. That means they're grid lots, they're 40,000 square feet, minimum 150 feet of frontage. The drainage was designed per 1995 requirements, and most of lot 3 is within 100-foot setback of the edge of the wetland. And that was under the 1995 standards, and today it may be difficult to develop that lot by the new regulations. So we're proposing what we did similarly at Dorset Drive, if you remember, in 2023, off of Orleans Road across from Bascom Hollow. It was a 3-lot approved subdivision that was approved many years ago, and we modified it. And as we would like to do here, we'd like to reduce the road right-of-way width to 40 feet, which is allowed for a way, which is a subdivision with 5 or fewer lots. We'd like to shorten the paved road length to approximately 275 feet, which is 200 feet shorter than the approved plan. So we'd be eliminating quite a bit of pavement and shrink or pull back the cul-de-sac. And then the road layout and work will be outside of the 100-foot buffer, and there would be a 14-foot wide travelway pavement with 1.5-foot berm on each side, similar to that at Dorset Drive, which we have installed, if you'd like to go by and take a look. 3 building lots that will still meet today's lot area and frontage requirements. Lots 1 and 2 will each have the 40,000 square feet of lot area, 150 feet of frontage, and then lot 3 will be a panhandle lot with the lot frontage and lot width within the panhandle portion at 35 feet wide. The drainage will be designed per current requirements or standards. And then lot 3, if you take a look at the sketch that I put together, you can see the difference in the road length, the width, and then by pulling that cul-de-sac back and lot 3 as a panhandle lot, we can get quite a bit of the development out of the 50-foot buffer. I don't know if you can scroll through to that last page of the handout, or if you have it in front of you, you'll see. And I think it is one more. Nope. Yeah, there you go. And so we've just pulled back. So we're by modifying, we still have 3 conforming lots, a lot less pavement, and we just feel like it'll be a better product than if we were trying to develop what was approved in 1995. I don't know if Bill wants to add anything to that. Thank you.
I would add only that the 1995 was 30 years ago. And as we all know that are in the regulatory business of building, that the things have changed over time, especially with Conservation Commission requirements. And today's conservation requirements on a plan that was approved for building purposes in 1995 make Lot 3 so restrictive that you really can't build much at all on it. And we did thought about trying to get a variance, and we thought about trying to do a cluster subdivision. We really, Susan and I really kicked this around a lot, and it was really to Susan's credit and her learned experience to come up with simply a proposed modification of the previously approved 3-lot subdivision, which will allow Lot 3 to be a nice buildable lot. It shortens the road, a lot less asphalt, a lot less stormwater runoff, a lot less drainage, and something that is workable for us.
Yeah, and just to add, we're just here tonight to get general feedback from the board, and so if we get a positive feeling from you, we go forward with our engineers and we start preparation of the modification plan.
Thank you. Christine?
I didn't have anything to add
Nothing done.
for the Mark Drive in the proposal, but I think they were just asking more for input from the planning board.
Okay, from the board.
Yeah, and we really see this, Duncan, and board members, as an informal discussion to try to gain some direction more than anything else.
Any initial feedback?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good concept. I mean, if the calculations and everything work out, panhandles weren't allowed in 1995, and now they are. So,
Right.
So it makes sense. It's not.
Well, the biggest thing, Mary, is that the conservation
Absolutely.
restrictions have changed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if your next step would be to come forward with a definitive application for a definitive.
Well, Susan and I would want to talk with our engineer, and whether we come in for a preliminary or just go right to the definitive. I think this strikes me as simple, and we should be able to go right to a definitive.
So it should just be a modification of what was
Correct.
previously
Approved and of record.
I think it sounds great. I mean,
It makes sense.
Makes sense.
Well, guess what? It is a Merry Christmas.
yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you. Happy holiday.
Same to you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thanks.
So that leaves the presentation of draft design plans for 52 Route 28 by John Carey. Good evening, Mr. Carey.
John, so there's your pointer right there, okay? You're gonna use it.
Thank you.
That's right.
Good evening. John Carey, West Harwich, and also Hyannis, Cape Cod. This evening, my business partner and fiance and I would like to talk to you guys about a project we are working on. The neighbor to the West Harwich Schoolhouse was connected with us because of our work at the school, and we were able to put together a deal where he sold us his land at 52 and 48 Route 28. I am not a public speaker. I'm a contractor, so I prepared some remarks, so bear with me.
May I just interrupt you for 1 second?
Mhm.
The board will recall, or perhaps not, that this was before the planning board in a very highly fractious manner 8 to 9 years ago, and ended up being this property divided into 2 lots, 1 non-conforming. So there's some history here with the board, and I just want to let you know that
Okay.
we're here. So
Yeah, this is well before me. Tonight, I guess here we go. Tonight, I invite you guys to envision a revitalized West Harwich, one that honors our legacy, the legacy of our past, while also embracing the challenges of our future. A place where our oldest buildings still stand as symbols of our resilience, and then our newest structures are built as a testament to our ambitions. I want to reimagine West Harwich as a living showcase for our finest architecture here in Harwich. These are landmarks that tell the story of our town's history. I want to challenge you to set standards that inspire future developments and developers. To do this, our opinion is you have to build with purpose, as they did 200 years ago with buildings like the Exchange, the Baptist Church, the Brooks Academy. I want to challenge you guys in the town to return to crafting spaces that inspire people and draw people in, not just simple, cheap housing or buildings. So when future generations look back on today and these times, I'm hoping that they're going to remember that Harwich, when faced with this housing crisis, responded with action and conviction. What I'm proposing here tonight, what we're proposing here tonight, is something that I think could resurrect West Harwich. This is a project that would establish a new village center where housing and commerce finally replace abandoned buildings. The project we're proposing is called West Harwich Square. That's a name we came up with. It can change. And here are some of the details. I don't know how, do you want to go to the next slide? There you go. So this is the 2 lots that Duncan mentioned. It's shown as 1 on this because we'd most likely be submitting for site plan review as 1 lot. This is the Baptist Church, like my handshake, and then here's the cemetery and the school's up here. Yeah, so here's the survey. The only wetlands are kind of way up here, so we're pretty clear. It's a flat lot, and it has a Captain Baker house sitting on it in pretty rough shape. So this would be the preliminary site, proposed site plan. And so what it would do is, following the historic DCPC stuff, all the parking would be more or less hidden from both roadways, Depot and Route 28. We'd be picking up the Baker House, which is currently here, and moving it to the north part of the lot, which is outside of the commercial highway. The first 200 feet north of Route 28 is commercial highway, and so by moving it out of that, it lands in a residential part of zoning, so it makes the most sense, and then allows us to put the density in the commercial highway. These buildings, and this is just preliminary, these buildings are 12-unit buildings. There's 1, 2, 3 of them, and then this would be some type of commercial structure for, a small shop, a sandwich shop, something like that. So I guess the details of the project are as followed. From a design standpoint, anything built on the site would strictly adhere to, it has to look like it could have been built in 1870, which is when they built the church, the Baker House, and the school. The Captain Baker's house would be saved the same way the school was. It'd be picked up, restored, and then repurposed as 2 units of year-round housing. 30%, so that's 2 units, and then there's somewhere around 38 units in these new structures. So that's 40 units total. Our goal is for 30 of these to be deed restricted affordable so that all 40 units can count towards the town's shy list. So we also want to try to include some commercial, even though Harwich zoning doesn't really favor mixed use. I think it's something that we can either work towards through variances or eventually zoning changes. So ideally, I think housing, there should be a coffee shop, a sandwich shop, a place to a takeout taco shop, maybe a barber shop, or even a small restaurant. And then the other goal of the project would be to reposition this part of Depot Road to be walkable streetscape with brick sidewalks, street lamps, and maybe a few pickup drop-off parking spots, matching what the state is doing on Route 28. So this is an image that Union Studios, who seems to be the favorite architect on Cape Cod, presented. It is just a first recommendation of things that they've done down here that's been successful. It doesn't mean we have to do any of it or all of it. But it shows kind of something that would be significantly more than what we have today. This is the back of it. While flat roofs aren't desirable from a historic standpoint, the new energy efficient heat pumps all require split systems, and my proposal is putting these on the roof at a site would be a lot more slightly or less slightly than if you put them on the streetscape. So that's the only reason I'd be wanting some flat roofs in the development. This is an aerial. The 2 buildings on the sides are, I think, considered 2.5 stories. The middle one would be 3 stories. And I think part of this conversation today is discussing requirements and whatnot. So these are some more pictures here, and I can make it available for whoever they'd like. There is another, no, this is good there.
You have another, excuse me, John, we have your second set of plans.
I don't think we need it. I think we can stick with this one. This seems to be the one I'm leaning towards.
Planning board has, I think, been given all members.
Okay. So I guess this presentation, part of it is Piper and I are not a corporation. We're not a developer like other who've sat at this table tonight. So before we move forward with anything, we want to make sure we understood the path forward and then what the permitting process might look like. The next step for us, should we get support, would be to hire a civil engineer and architects, and that goes to the tune of about $75,000. So if this is not something the town or the board would want, we're not going to go in that direction. So with that, I have some questions, but maybe I'll go back to you guys for comments.
So can you repeat the number? This is all going to be affordable housing for the shy list, or?
Depending on where we end up, I need to exceed 25% for them all to count for the shy list. So I'm proposing somewhere in the vicinity of 40, which includes the 2 at the Baker House. So if it's 40, then 12 of them would be deed restricted, 80% AMI affordable. And if you hit that,
40 is your total, 12 are on the shy list, is that correct?
all,
Yeah, the whole thing
The
goes
whole
on the
goes on the
shelf.
shy
Yeah.
list?
Yeah.
If you have more than 25%
Okay,
are affordable in a project, then the total number
goes on the
to shy
list.
Who owns the property now?
I own 52 and Piper owns 48.
So you control the entire
Yes, sir.
lot, both lots, 2 lots, right?
Yeah,
Remind us about the schoolhouse, how many apartments in the schoolhouse?
There's 10 there and 3 of them, so 30%. So all 10 of those go on the shy list.
And then you had had a separate building you were going to put in
Yep, so the last 3 of the 10 are
in the separate building?
in a separate building, which actually starts framing tomorrow.
Okay.
And they'll be the affordable units.
Okay. You had problem with the gas the last time? Do you have the same
We've had-
problem coming up?
We've had more problems than you could ever have. We've resolved the water. We extended the water main.
Yeah.
And so we have water in the building as of last Wednesday.
Do you have access to gas or not? That's-
It's a energy efficient, all-electric building.
Oh, all electric, okay.
So a couple of my concerns would be, I'm not sure whether whether you're gonna have enough parking looking at those plans. So I would look at your parking calculations, because if you're talking 40 units plus a commercial of any kind of either takeout or restaurant or whatever, those calculations are all gonna have to factor in on your parking. I'm not sure moving the Captain Baker house is gonna be the easiest of tasks. I know that would have to come before historic again, because it is over 100 years old, so anything done to that building would have to have separate historic review, just because of the demo delay bylaw. So I would just call that to your attention again, just like you had to come, like you came before us with the West Harwich Schoolhouse. It would be the same kind of a situation on it. And I would be concerned with the cost you're gonna face to move that building. I admire your want to do it, and it'd be great if it could be preserved, but I would be concerned at what that's gonna come to. The plans look great. I mean, without seeing details, it's hard to, say more than that, but those are just my 2 cents worth.
And what's your height? You know?
So just to answer Mary, it was 58 parking spots as is. I would back into, the apartments come first, so I would meet my parking requirement for apartments, and any access parking, I would design a commercial use that could eat up the remaining spots.
Okay.
So we'll be compliant or very close, and if we can't, we'll reduce. With regard to the Baker House, I will see you tomorrow night for review.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense to move it. It's expensive, but there's things that matter. And in this town, I can't stand here and say that we're going to tear it down because it's easy. We're going to save it because it's the right thing to do. And it's been there for 150 years. And, it just can't stay. People have asked me why I can't stay. And you can't have that style house sitting in the middle of the commercial lands, because we had to pay quite a bit of money for the land. And so it just doesn't work. And instead of tearing it down, we'd rather repurpose it because it's a beautiful home. And structurally, it's fine.
Okay, great. Good to hear.
Emily, any?
I was gonna ask something. Height.
So, part of my pathway questions tonight is, my understanding is this is a DCPC, and that has its own set of heights and setbacks and stuff like that. Does that take precedent over anything else? Because that is a commercial highway, which allows 3.5 or something like that. But a DCPC only allows 2.5.
My recollection is that it takes precedence.
Okay.
The DCPC takes precedence?
Because it has specifications as a special district, overlay district, has there's a form issue that I would say that's going to be a concern with flat roof, because the language, as I recall, had mostly to do with emulating, they got less difficulty with the setbacks than with the form issue, which is emulation of existing neighboring structures.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the number one. I would think that there can be exceptions to that, and I think there were probably, in one of the materials that you sent earlier that had a larger structure, much higher structure, I thought. Something like that, that might be even more viable alternative. I don't know if that's something you have on your deck tonight. I mean, just as a point of discussion.
So with regard to flat roofs, we don't need significant flat roofs. We need minor flat roofs, just a spot we can put these. I mean, everyone's seen them. They're
Right.
3 feet wide, and just so we don't have the entire sidewalk full of them, because when you get to 29 or 38 units, you don't want to be walking around this beautiful new area and unit, and then fences. With regard to the other presentation we can look at, it's a nod to the Exchange building, which I think a lot of people feel is one of the most significant buildings ever built and unfortunately destroyed. Union, who are good friends of mine now, did not do a good job of rendering it, and so I was afraid to show it because it didn't come out the way I wanted, and they sent me a bill for $5,000 just for the wrong rendering, and so I was afraid to go back and have them fix it, but we can look at it if Matt doesn't mind. And so the problem with that building, it will match the exact height and scale of the old Exchange, which was 58 feet wide by 100 feet deep by 76 feet tall. That's not counting the giant spiral thing. That would be 4 stories, which I know would require variances.
Right.
And so, yeah, so it'd be 4 stories and then it has a gable, is the old Exchange building. And so I guess a question tonight would be, my reading of the DCPC is that here are the standards, but if you suggest something that's not detrimental to the historic character or fabric of the neighborhood, could you get variances for that type of thing? So if you had a building that was recreating historic structure, could I get a variance for a 4th story?
Right.
And who makes that decision?
That's us.
Okay.
And the
Is it
fourth,
still us under the DCPC
I believe
regulations?
so. I mean, we're the ones that put it through.
so that's, just for clarification, we're current at 42 and it would be 76? Is that what you're saying?
You're
to get
current
to
at 2.5 stories or 30 feet.
30 feet. You want to go to 76?
Well, let me back up. It would be 4 stories, which would be 40 feet, and then you have a gable. So the gable would probably be it's a tall building, so it's probably 15 feet. So you're probably at 55 feet with the gable.
55 from...
The church is 85.
If it's still there. Okay, we just have to call that one out.
But I guess is,
So the height, so you need the height to get all the units in, is that correct? So the 2.5 story is a problem?
if you consider what I was just showing you guys on the left and right, two and a half stories, but if that's considered 2.5, we can make it work with 2.5.
Okay.
If the town or the board was interested in recreating a historic structure like the Exchange building, you need a variance for that, because you couldn't do that justice with just 2.5 stories.
I think words matter a little bit. I don't know that is it considered a variance under the DCPC? Christine, or would it be us waiving a provision on the overlay district? Because the DCPC, I'm not sure whether that's treated as an overlay district. Because typically with overlays, we can do waivers, and with straight bylaws, they require variances.
Right.
So that's why I want to make, I don't have enough knowledge on it either, as I'm sitting here, so I'm hesitant
And the
to.
waiver
And you can
would
get
go
back to
through
me.
ZBA, but very.
This is the beginning of our
A
conversation.
waiver would go typically, so
Was, but-
when we had talked about making some changes to the overlay districts in Harwich Port, the discussion was overlay districts, we would still be able to do waivers. And if we changed it and flip-flopped it and made that our base zoning, then base zoning, I believe, would require variances, which would require the zoning board of appeals. So I don't know if that's necessarily true at this point or not, so I would just think that maybe we all need a little clarification as well on that.
Right, we need to polish up. Did you see the larger, did you see who's
I
projected?
did not see a lot.
Okay, can you go back?
So, same parking, 58 parking spots, same Baker House. This
So you go to 2 buildings and...
So this reduces to 2 buildings, because the buildings have more units, which some people might find appealing, but in exchange for less buildings, you get more height. So while the one on the left would stay at 2 stories, the other one would go to 4 stories. And again, my architect made it 120 feet instead of 100, and they put too many windows in, so the scale is not correct, and it doesn't look enough. But if we went for something like that, it would be an exact replica of the Exchange building. But that would require a variance, and I think it would require a variance for frontage, because I think the buildings the max width is 50 feet, and the Exchange building was 58.
So, I applaud the idea of recreating a historic building, does it change the number of units when you go to 2, or are you still at 40?
I'm not going to present any projects more than 40. I think 40 is an appropriate size.
40 is the max, the minimum, or just
The max
where you're
that
going?
we would take on,
Okay, so 40, okay,
the max.
okay. And that building looks like it's mixed use, it's like commercial? at the
So,
back? I know you paid for it, maybe didn't want to, but
so yes, this would have to be mixed use because
it'd be.
our dream is to have a coffee sandwich shop and a front porch, which would reuse the old Exchange front porch. I wish I had another picture for you guys.
An
These are
interesting
great. So
approach.
just as a mixed, to go back to the mixed use for a second, that's embedded in the code of the DCPC.
So it's allowed, but based on the other zoning, in which I don't know, maybe you know better, mixed use is a antiquated zoning code for Harwich. You're allowed 1 unit per 10,000 square feet, so there's 70,000 square feet. I'd only be allowed 7 units with mixed use.
Okay.
So what I need, so if I went mixed use, could I get a variance or a waiver for unit counts?
Right.
It's all these things I think we all need to
Well, see,
freshen.
these are the kind of creative problems that, we have to face in terms of the building code, in terms of zoning. And this pushes to the forefront issues that, that we need to address as a town, because creative, adaptive, innovative buildings that, in this regard, and particularly in this regard, draw a sight line between our past and our future. This is, and the other thing that I think is really great about this, both plans, is that you're creating a village within a village. So, and it seems like it's going to be a safe and defensible space where there's an exterior and an interior. So, I think that there's, this is interesting to see these, fully projected,
Certainly would lead to the renovation of that whole area, because that
Right.
would be distinctly different from what you've done.
I think the line that summarizes best is establish a new village where housing and commerce replaces abandoned buildings.
Right.
When I started the school, and I was first coming to you guys, I looked at my neighbors, and it was a graveyard, an abandoned church, an abandoned building, an abandoned lot, and so something like this, now you're talking about a village where you could go and have sandwiches and meet friends and have coffee, and all of a sudden, West Harwich is not a place you drive through, it is a place you drive to. And I think that's exciting for the town, and I think West Harwich could really use that.
And considering all the existing new housing that's going up there, I don't know, have you seen the thing, I think the old law offices, which are abut to the east, the church building, it's like Michael Ford's old offices. They were flooded out, and so those have been purchased, and they're going to be repurposed. So there are going to be another 10 or 12 units there. We're going to have scores of people, and here it's going to be.
And
This is a great thing. I can't.
and then it's waiting for what happens to the church, correct?
Well, we'll see tomorrow night.
In these, go ahead.
Oh, if I can ask, John, have you done any numbers on building coverage or site coverage?
I haven't, but the next step would be to be compliant with whatever's required. It would go back to Baxter, Nye, who did the school, and I'll make sure that we are under those numbers. The parking lot, I know it doesn't look like it because of the trees and stuff, but the parking lot's almost like 55% of the site. So I think we'll be fine, but I will make sure I'm on par with what is required.
Okay, great. Because John's also coming to the community development team, and so there have been some questions like, do we have any more numbers or more information? So
I can
think we're going to
yeah.
keep a running list of what will be required.
I think staff is the appropriate place for it right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, where they're the professionals that are gonna be able to tell you
Right.
Yeah.
whether your numbers are gonna work or not. And, although I love the idea of the building with commercial underneath, it might be too big, I like the other plan too. You might have too much lot coverage, and then, it might require a waiver, it might require parking waivers, we don't know. but those guys can help you with all of that, and, you know, it's nice to see building, and to your point, the only thing that is before us tomorrow in historic is, the only thing we have is the demolition delay bylaw, so that's what's before us on a public hearing, so.
I would also like to remind everybody that the Massachusetts Department of Transportation is making a $9 million investment in Route 28 between Division Street and the Herring River Bridge. $9 million for 1.1 miles. It's going to involve, at this intersection, a brick walkways all the way down to the Dennisport line, a brick kind of apron to go in 4 areas in the crosswalks at that intersection. There will be, they have gotten the feds to supply 100% of historic lighting all the way from, you know, Dennisport down to the river. So they were originally going to do 25% of it, and they, you know, liked what they were doing, so they were able to get all that funded out. And so they were just here on their, I think their 50% plan about 6 weeks ago, and they wanted to pace off and figure out what the spacing was between the lights and, you know, get the placement right. And so this is, you know, I think this is what we're looking at here. This is the kind of thing that the planners should be like thinking about in a very positive way, like how can we encourage.
And isn't Harwich gonna dry sewer that area when the road's open?
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's, I don't know when they're gonna run the water in, but the whole, in
Once
my,
the road's open, the sewer's going in.
Right.
Or the dry sewer, so,
and sidewalks and bike lane is gonna be kind of, you know, be a different looking place by 2028, so.
2028, you got 4 years.
Maybe they
Don't you
can
think?
time those lights better. Maybe they can time those lights better.
Yeah, there, oh, man, those lights, oh my God. Oh.
The street lights are
So,
tough.
On a rainy day in July,
Coming
I
from
can't,
Harwich Port into West Harwich.
it's backed up to the bridge.
John, what do you need from us tonight? Have you gotten direction?
Um,
or-
Yes, I feel good about it. I'm excited to meet with the different committees. I feel like that will be very helpful. And like the school, I think we view this as a public-private partnership, and we want to do what's right for the town. We're not trying to force density and build something people don't want. Anything we build, we'd want to live in ourselves, or any of you guys would want to live in. So we're excited for this path, and anyone that wants to reach out and offer anything. You know, we do design a lot of this stuff on our own and feed this to architects, so anyone that wants to help, you know, we're certainly open to recommendations.
Have you talked to the trust about this one as well? Or not yet?
I've mentioned to the trust, and part of the reason for moving this thing along was, one, I need to get my hookup requirements from civil engineering to the state by next September. And then I want to work with the trust if they're interested. So, yeah, I'm gonna start this. Once I got through this, I want to probably go to them in January and start the conversations.
So your hookup requirements are related to the road work?
These size structures, anything more than the school, you need a 6-inch sprinkler line. Luckily, this lot has water, unlike the school. So we're good there. But I do need to give it to them because they're replacing everything. And once
They
they
pull it open?
and once they close it up, there'll probably be a moratorium. So I don't want to damage a road.
Moratorium.
Yeah,
Or there's-
5. So I want to get the stuff moving, so I don't miss that. Sprinkler, there will be gas in this building probably.
Everything is in.
Exactly.
It's open, yeah.
Which, I think you mentioned, which one do you prefer? First one or this one?
I think the Exchange building is absolutely gorgeous, and I'd love to recreate it appropriately.
I was looking at
But-
pictures of the Exchange building just for reference. And
Yeah.
I agree with your assessment of the $5,000 investment. Like, there's way too many windows and like, but
I'll
I
sing
think
my
that's
edits,
also,
yeah.
but like,
I will have a skating
I
rink
like,
inside.
I know, I like, just me personally,
When did
like,
when did it
I
go
like
down, the exchange?
Just before
reading
I-
more and more about the Exchange building and the fact that got, like,
Yeah.
right, it's awful. And to be able to have an opportunity to kind of bring that back a little bit, I think would be great. Whether it's feasible, that's,
Well, a larger building like that would give you more opportunity for
Yeah.
more commercial space
yes,
on the first floor, which is a nice thing when you're talking about the units.
yes.
You know, I think a larger version of what the Cape Roots is in Harwich Port. And I
Yeah.
mean, you know, when that was originally permitted through us, it was supposed to be,
It backed into that one, yeah.
no, it was supposed to be four retail units on the
Underneath.
basement.
Yeah.
Right.
And then units upstairs, they lessened the number of units upstairs, and then downstairs,
Open.
they found enough commercial tenants, so it worked out nicely to have the, you know, the one tenant take the whole floor, but, you know, that's, I think, been a nice improvement to Harwich Port. So, once Harwich certainly can use what it can get.
Well, and I think the other thing too is, you know, it's easy to, shoot down a concept, the details of a concept, where the concept itself, let's take a look and kind of rejigger the components and,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway, thank you very much for coming tonight. I think, you know, we've got a lot of interest here, and it's exciting to see, you know. So,
Very ambitious project.
yeah.
Keep going, John.
Do it while you're young.
Thank you. If I started now.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while, I'm sure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, John.
Christine, thank you. And Matt,
Thank you.
thank you
Good luck
for
with
your
all.
help. Night, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right. So, I think we have a couple points from you, Christine, and then
Yeah, just
close it off.
an update on January 7th, if you can come. There will be a joint meeting with the Comprehensive Planning Committee, the Select Board, as well as the Planning Board members. So far, I believe I've received confirmation from 4 of the members who can attend, which is great. So I will post a meeting so that we can, you know, just to be on the safe side.
Right.
So that is happening here, and I believe it's on a Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And for town planner update, we are moving forward with the local comprehensive draft. The most recent draft I will be posting on the website. I will send updates of the local comprehensive plan, housing production plan, as well as the open space and recreation plan. In terms of the hazard mitigation plan, we will be doing some community engagement sessions after the holidays. I will provide updates to you regarding that. We did do a survey where we had over 600 responses relative to hazard mitigation issues and experiences and impacts to personal property, commercial property. So I will provide a summary of that survey to you as well, probably after the holidays. I don't want to bombard you with a ton of reading material.
So if I recall correctly, as a part of, I would say probably in conjunction with the hazard mitigation plan, we had done a zoning change to raise the height, to raise the flood level height, based on flood plans. Are we still, is that still a good number? Is that,
Yes,
Height still a good number,
my
that's not-
understanding that
hasn't
there is no expectation to change that.
Okay.
Having said that, I will double check,
Yeah.
but I think
curious?
the flood zone that was adopted in 2023 is accurate.
Okay,
But I will, again, I'll double check on that.
awesome.
A question. On the January 7th, is there going to be like a guided discussion, or how are we going to manage that meeting? That's a lot of people talking about a lot of things.
Yes, and I'm not absolutely clear on that, so,
I would bet the selectmen are going to be driving.
Yeah, you
it
think?
Because it's their really,
Their baby.
typically, the selectmen will be driving a joint meeting.
Just, how do we get to things and do it efficiently, and, you know, what are the key things that we're working on
Just
from
remind them.
planning? You know, how do we do that?
Also,
I think the
agenda,
local
I'm sure.
comprehensive-
Yeah.
Have an agenda.
There will be an agenda. Once that's been established, I will send that out to everyone.
Can you send
as
a
well
link
as the
also on the-
adjoining documents. I'm sorry, Ann, what?
On the, because this happened last time, on the long-term plan, can you send a link? Because it's not necessarily where I would go look.
Yes, I will send a link as well as the actual documents, so that
Thank
you
you.
have them as an attachment. And if they're too big, I may have to send several emails, but
That's okay.
either way, I will make sure we'll have the PDF and you'll also have the link.
Thank you.
And I do know that the local planning committee, for the local comprehensive plan, they'll have, I think, a brief overview of where they are relative to the 3 plans, and just to give an update so that everyone knows what's expected, what has to be done. Because the housing production plan and the open space and recreation plan are really state-guided documents, and I think there was some confusion relative to that in terms of the local comprehensive plan, because the local comprehensive plan is intended to really be Harwich driven, Harwich focused, and so I think they have learned. They will want to make that clarification, and just to give an overview of what's required for the housing production plan and open space and recreation plan. And because will also be a good discussion as we're leading into annual town meeting, because that's the goal. That's basically the goal, is to have this adopted by annual town meeting. So we do have an article reserved for that, and so we want to make sure we're garnering as much input and support from town leadership as possible.
Smart, good. Any other comments, any questions? You ready to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.